Hey guys, it's Bella and I'm back. Hopefully you've been checking out Dexter and I's content now and you know a little bit about what we are and what we're trying to accomplish as far as educating the world and future sex workers on pretty much everything all sex work. So today, I am going to be talking to you ladies about how to deal with uncomfortable circumstances. This can fall into a wide variety of topics, but more specifically today, I'm going to be talking about interrogations, what to do if your club is raided, what to do if a customer is too aggressive with you, and lastly, looking for it on my paper, how to deal with men who don't pay. Clearly, these are all some very difficult things, especially if you're new to the industry. I know when I first started out, I had no idea about any of this, and to be honest, nobody taught me. I learned from experience, many years of experience, so I can say without hesitation to give this video a listen. Alrighty, so what does it mean to be interrogated? Well, typically when you're working at a club, an interrogation entails that an undercover police officer is questioning you and trying to entrap you in a few ways, if possible. So there are many ways to tell, but I'm going to give you a few that I have found and, in my experience, other people have found to be reoccurring. Number one, they tend to be bald. Or really short hair. Imagine military cut, normal policeman business. They tend to come into the club dressed casual / somewhat professional. Not anything too classy because then that's obvious, but just casual enough that they look like they have money in order to attract dancers. Alright. Next, check their posture. A lot of the time, these men aren't going to be slouched over, slurring their words, or even drinking. They're going to be very attentive. They will be sitting there. They will be very conscientious of everything you're saying. And that's not without reason. Make sure you're listening to their tone, how they speak to you, the questions that they're asking, and lastly, look at their pockets. Now, when you're conversing with this male or female, a lot of the times it will seem very personal, very personable, and common. But you'll see right away that the questions are almost robotic in nature. They feel very contrived and not as personal as the question itself. What I mean is, they'll start off by asking you where you live, how long you've worked at the club, do you like it? And then they'll ask you, well, what kind of things do you do in your free time? What kind of fun do you have? Do you do drugs? Do other girls here do drugs? Do you know where I can get some? I'm looking for this. I'm looking for that. These are questions to entrap you and further get you to tell on yourself. If that weren't obvious already, I don't know what could make it any more obvious. Next, after establishing the kind of person you are, they will become very flirtatious in hopes of attaining your personal information, your real name, and get you to come to a designated location. This is so that ultimately you will be charged with prostitution and pretty much selling yourself for sex. Ergo the prostitution charge. But it can all be avoided, especially if you know exactly what to do and say. It's important to mention that anything you say and do can be held against you in the court of law. So know that when you're talking to this person, you might be recorded. Be careful of everything that you say. Be careful of how you represent the club and your fellow workers, because once one goes down, it's like the domino effect. The entire club will fall. Make sure you protect the club in order to protect yourself. Now, this is what happens if for some reason the interrogation process is over with and they have pretty much found enough evidence to convict the club and they are coming in to raid. This is a worst case scenario. I have seen very few places be raided in my day, but it's not really unexpected when you hear about them, because a lot of the clubs that do get raided are in very bad parts of town. So make sure that when you are looking for a gentleman's club to work at, you're paying attention to the area as well as the quality of life in that area. Now, if your club is being raided, it's important that you don't resist or cause any unnecessary dramatizations or altercations for the police. This will only make you look guilty. So don't do that. If I could give any advice, I would recommend that the ladies stay on camera. If your club does not have cameras, go to a new fucking club. Okay? Without sounding crude, let's be real. If you're not on camera, you're not safe. And you can't protect your own identity and your own actions if they're not recorded. So make sure you're very aware of where the security system is in your club. And if you have the ability, make sure when you're doing lap dances, VIPs, or even, on stage, that you're staying on camera. That way, if the police do come and raid you, not only do you have video surveillance and evidence that you did not partake in those activities, but you have the ability to hire an attorney and have them represent you and your information in a more collective way. The most important thing is preserving your innocence here, so if you can stay on camera at all times, that is crucial. Secondly, if you're getting into this industry, it's kind of important that you know your rights. I've said this many times. As a sex worker and an independent contractor, you have to know your rights. And within knowing your rights, it's probably pretty essential that you have an attorney or a public defender in the area that you know personally or can get information from in case an emergency like this were to happen. Obviously, it's never good to expect the worst, but to prepare is the better solution. Next, I'm going to be talking about aggressive customers and clientele because they are the best. They are the most fun to deal with, especially when you're shy and you're new to the industry and you don't know your rights. So first of all, let me tell you, do not hit them. They can sue you. Do not hit them, because not only is that going to make you look guilty, but you can be convicted guilty of violent offense. No. Although you might want to react on impulse, there are quite hefty repercussions to those actions. So let's say you're giving a dance and you've already made it very clear to this customer that he cannot touch you, but he keeps doing so. What I've done is I give a 3 strikes you're out policy, where I politely tell you, hey, you can't do that. Hey, I already told you once you cannot touch me. 3rd time, you're out, buddy. I already told you. You have to pay me now and you need to leave. It's a little hard to do that if you're shy or you're scared and they're intimidating, and they are. But more often than not, reacting with violence is going to get you a charge or end up making you look more guilty than necessary. So protect yourself, your dignity, and your health, by not going to jail and not wasting your breath on a piece of shit that's going to cross your boundaries. If this does not work, if you saying no and demanding your money after a 3rd attempt of being patient, go get a bouncer. And if you feel that you can't walk away from the situation because they might leave without paying you, go to the lady that collects your money at the end of every dance, tell her what's going on, because she can go get a bouncer, and when you let him know that he has the opportunity to pay you and leave peacefully, or leave in an aggressive manner, more often than not, they will give you your money and go. Trust me, I know it's tempting to beat the fuck out of a dumbass who just doesn't take the word no for an answer, but it's not necessary and not worth going to jail for. And lastly, I'm going to be talking about clients who refuse payment. I already briefly touched on this, but it's important to emphasize the art of getting money. Let's say you are doing a dance, and this guy says that he wants 3 dances, and you tell him up front that's going to be $75. He says that's fine, you do the 3 dances, but he says, oh, I only have 60. That's not what you agreed to, and you're not going to take that as an answer, because not only do you have to pay the house, but you just worked for that money. You should be getting that money. So you can politely tell them, I understand that you don't have that cash on you. Let me take you to the ATM. Give them a smile, touch their shoulder. Say, let me take you to the ATM. And if they say, oh, I don't have a card, say, my manager doesn't like hearing that. Let me go get him real quick. Wait right here with this person, with my friend, with this bouncer, with this lady. Don't let them leave, or bring them with you to go get the manager, because once they feel like they're about to get banned from the club or have some sort of legal repercussion for not paying for the service, they're more often than not going to become submissive and just get you the money and want to leave. Now, let's say it's a little bit more difficult. I've actually had this happen to me. One time I was starting at a new club and I got one of my first VIPs, and this guy was like, I want an hour and a half. Well, this club I was working at specifically, they only required that you pay the house fee first and you can pay the dancer after. An hour and a half VIP is $1,000. So I'm excited. I'm happy. I'm like, wow, I'm about to make $1,000. I leave the lap dance, or the VIP, and he says, here you go. Hands me $200. I said, where's the other 8? He said, 8? Yeah, it's $1,000, buddy. So learn from my mistake. Always get the money up front. Because if you're anything like me, your management might not be the greatest, and they might not hold them accountable for their actions. So what happened to me was my manager let him leave, giving me $200, and he said, you can keep your house tonight. I cried and I went home. So don't make that mistake. Always get your money up front when you're going to a VIP. If they aren't willing to give it to you, it's because they don't have it. Point blank period, girl. So listen, get that money beforehand. And now, in closing news, I hope you ladies make your money, and I hope the men respect you. I hope you can identify these undercovers and protect yourself if your club gets raided. If you have any questions or concerns, email me. Our social media and my personal information will be in the link in bio below. Have a good night.